Hey YouTube, Dread Joker here, and today we are going to be reviewing the Master Grade GM or GM Sniper. Sniper? No, this is the Master Grade GM Ground Type. I don't know why I said Sniper. Maybe it could be the fact that this is essentially the same kit. The difference is between the GM Ground Type and the GM Sniper, aside from the color scheme, I believe the head. Other than that, same kit. Same kit, different box. Now, right away, I have done some lining to this. I used the gray version of GM301 for this. It was the gray inking pen. To get dark lines like this, you have to prime it quite a few times. Otherwise, it's barely noticeable. Starting off, this is from the 8th MS team, and it is a very, very good Master Grade for its age. This is also from the early days of Master Grade. However, this is when they were finally getting their act together. And they decided to remove... I wasn't counting on this because this is for the ground forces. I am a little disappointed they removed the Corbrock, but at the same time, this one has a very different core. So the arms, like, everything is on ball joints, essentially. Like, there are 4 screws in this that I am aware of. There's 2 in each arm, so, like, one here for the elbows, and that just locks everything together, makes everything very sturdy. I'm actually a little worried about this, that I'm going to end up breaking this by accident because of how strong this connection is. And in the knees, once again, very good connection here. Less concerned here. This is fine. As far as the kit itself goes, its color scheme is very acceptable for me. It looks basically like a test mobile suit, because most EFF suits at the time were. And for an added bonus, if you have a black light or one of these finger lights, you can get these like the dollar store, Family Dollar, wherever, and you hit it with the anything in the blue spectrum, this will happen. And as soon as the lights go off, you might notice there's a bit of a color shift going on. What happens is when this is hit with anything in the blue spectrum, it goes ballistic. Literally. See if I can put it on a white background. No glow. Orange glow. It goes a little insane. Not as insane as the Banshee does under a black or a blue light, but let me put it this way. It's still very bright. The camera wasn't very good on it. As far as articulation goes, it's actually pretty good. So the shoulders are up here on ball joints. That's literally the only joint you're getting here. Oh, yeah, I forget. There's also a screw in the shoulders. I keep forgetting this. There's no screws in the knees. It's all in the arms on this kit. This is one of the frame. If you've built this frame one time, you've built it for 4 kits, technically. Because the ground type and the sniper are the exact same kit, different color scheme, etc. I've already mentioned this. The other 2 kits in the set are the Gundam ground type and the EZ-8. Everybody loves to complain about the proportions on these things. This is a very balanced kit. Is it the best looking out there? No. Is it from one of the best animes for Gundam out there? Oh, you better believe it. Again, my opinion. For articulation, getting back to it, the arm can go all the way out, a little over 90 degrees. You have an unrestricted rotation here. So you got a full 360 up at the arm, at the upper arm. Elbow, double jointed, very good bend. Wrists are on ball joints, albeit somewhat restricted. Just be careful positioning them. This could be better. It's not gripping at what I feel could be full strength. Also, it is a very small peg. Small peg, small ball, small hole, hey-o. Hands are... At the time, this was like the thing. 3-1 in the thumb hands, no tab, so the weapons here will kind of flop around in the hand. A lot of people have taken to modifying the hands or wrapping like tape or putting some kind of putty that doesn't dry out like plasticine inside the hand and on the weapon so that way it can hold it better. I would do that too if I planned on really displaying this, but shelf space is at a premium in my house. For accessories, no, actually, let's finish the articulation. For the upper body, you also get a somewhat restricted, actually very restricted movement at the hips, but at the same time, no more restricted than the actual human body, which was probably used for the base on this. Side skirts rotate forward and backwards on a peg, because this is all polycap in here. Individually molded front skirting, which is apparently stuck. There we go. Goes forward on both of them. Ball jointed hips, so you're looking at the full splits right here. This is all it does. This is all it needs to do. Again, this is a ground machine, not Jackie Chan. Hips are on a rotating joint inside, and this also continues for both of them. This is, again, for a crouching position. Despite technically not really having one, this does have weaponry which does somewhat require a crouching position. Head. I did do some modification on this. The head, I used a silver paint pen. I cannot remember which brand I used. I think it was a combination of Painters, a silver Sharpie, and a silver Gundam marker combined with the liner I used, which brought out all the lines in the head, which you can see that it does have a very detailed face behind this clear green visor, which does come pre-clear green for you. You don't have to paint this yourself, unlike on the original Master Grade GM, which we don't talk about because it's technically not a Master Grade anymore. It's a gigantic high grade. But the torso also has a bit more articulation. If you turn it around to the back here, you have the thruster assembly, which I like the backpack. I hate these thrusters. They're not actually attached down here where they should be. Instead, the actual joint is contained way up here inside the backpack, which I might be able to... Oh, wait, here we go. If it decides to be cooperative, and it's not. Okay, I must have accidentally glued it or something. But with the joint being up here, and it is on a ball joint, it's the same type of joint that's used for the front skirting here, so it's okay. But the problem is, there's not much you can do with these thrusters, no matter what you do. They always want to go straight down. So whatever this guy does, he's going to have a really, really, really hot seat if he ever decides to sit down or decide to boost. Butt panel. Nice detail, no movement. Fine by me, it's an old kit. Side skirting has some accessories on it. It has detachable ammo magazines for the 100mm machine gun that it has. Down to the legs, we've got a fairly decent knee bend, double jointed, about 90-95 degrees. For the time, and you're going to hear that a lot, this is one of those kits that I would recommend to early beginners to the Master Grade. This does not feature a full inner frame, but it features a good inner frame, if that makes sense. The ankles. Pretty decent articulation on them. You've got forwards to there, backwards, really good backwards. Which it does expose some of the hydraulics in here if you can see them. I didn't bother painting them. The front little flappy bit here moves. Side to side, no problem. It's got nice spiked knee pad armor, and this is a part goes in from behind, comes out the front. And anybody who complains that this armor falls off, and this is on older kits in general, needs to understand that these were designed to be removed. Because it's just a polycap holding this on. A polycap, a peg, and a slot. that go into, that hold a peg, and a hole. Just slides on, and you might be asking yourself if you know anything about Gundams in general. Well, where are the beam sabers? Well, this kit, as with most of the stuff in the 8th MS team for the Federation, decided not to keep the weapons on the back, which would make them a very easy target. Instead, they put them in a part that was most commonly cut off. They decided to stick them in the legs. To get these out, and a lot of people had problems with these, so just be warned that you will have to make sure there's no nubs or anything on these just to get them to work like this. You have to finagle them a little bit, and then it will slide down, and assembling these, also not pleasant. Get it zoomed in here so we can see that it does in fact have a beam saber in its leg. The beam saber is removable. A lot of people have problems getting these to go in. This is because of the assembly. This is not on like a slide or anything like that. This is on a weird peg. It wants to slide up, but at the same time it also doesn't. This kit also gives you 2 generic beam saber handles, or beam sabers. That being said, the weird thing is, this was one of the reissues I got recently, and so the majority of this kit is from 1999 and 2001. These beam sabers said 2006. So I'm beginning to think Bandai had to replace the mold because of mold degradation and stuff we should all be familiar with by now. So to hold the beam saber is very simple. You just stick it in the hand, wrap the hand around, zoom back out, and there we go. Turn it upside down. Of course, it's going to drop it. There's nothing holding it in the hand. That being said, it's very good at holding the beam sabers. This is the one accessory it holds much better than everything else. This kit has a ton of accessories. There's no easy way to say that. When you get this kit, you are not going to be shy on accessories. This kit includes 2 beam sabers, 1 on each leg, 2 beam saber blades, but I only have 1 on me today. Let's just pop the beam saber out. The 100mm machine gun, which you'll see here in a moment. The beam rifle, which the Jim ground type never had. I think that's just a leftover. It tells you to build anyways. This freaking missile pod, which is awesome, does not peg in anywhere and is very bulky. That being said, it is freaking awesome. Has a nice handle that pulls down here, has a chain. Also, well, I say chain, it's just a little chain link thing. Sticker goes in there. There is individual missiles in here, and you don't get just 3 of these. You get a 4th one. I don't know why they give you a 4th one if you can only ever use 3 of them. Whatever. Set this off to the side, because you also get a part of the Jim sniper. You get its gigantic oversized beam rifle. This does not feature the cooling unit that the other one has. It does have the same gem sticker. If anybody's ever built the old Master Grade wing kits, this is the same style sticker. It's also featured on the old Master Grade G Gundam kits, specifically on Shining and Burning. Or if you prefer the God Gundam, I prefer Burning, because that's what I grew up with. This also includes its own dedicated hand specifically for holding this gun. This does not really want to work with anything else. The 100mm machine gun is probably my favorite accessory, just because it fits the theme of this. It's not futuristic, it's not high-tech, it's so high-tech that it uses ridiculously oversized ammo. You get the folding stock, and this actually is based off a real weapon. I cannot remember the name of this weapon. But to hold it is, I'd say, simple, but no, you have to negotiate. You put it in the hands as you would. You have to line it up. There is a small gap in the finger here for it to go inside. You have to fold the thumb around, and you have to rotate it so that the fingers, and you have to hold this at an angle. And even then, this is where the negotiation begins. First you have to promise it a pay raise, then a vacation, then paid leave, then a promotion, and maybe then, after all of this, it can hold its gun. And it's holding it very well. Now, I wish it would do the same thing with the beam rifle, which requires a lot of painting. Everything here, this jacket, all the way back here, is supposed to be tan. I don't know about you, I'm not taking the time to paint this. This looks very hard, very complicated, and frankly, I have other things to do this week. You have a nice green sticker for the lens, though. It's one of the only stickers on this kit. This kit is very, very light on the stickers. The only stickers you have on this kit are typically the head camera and the rear camera. One for the sight on the rocket launcher, and this gigantic gem one on the sniper rifle. Other accessories, and the final accessory that this includes, and frequently uses to great success, is his shield. This is one of the more interesting aspects of this, and you might notice it's very plain. I have not decaled this. I'm not good with decals. I don't pretend to be good with decals. I'm still learning the decals, however I have practiced with dry transfers on Legos. Those have turned out fine. You get two peg options on this. You get the peg, the standard peg right here. This is for attaching it to the back of the forearm. As so. It holds it on pretty well and can slide forward. This is also part of one of its other gimmicks, because it can bring the shield forward as a sort of claw battering ram. This works pretty well, in theory. In actuality, it looks very flimsy because you're striking with something that has to jut out from the side of your arm at about a car length. But the number one thing you're going to be doing with this, if you want him to hold it, you turn the peg around, and it has holes on both sides here. You'll hear a click, then you slide them together a little bit, bring the handle back down, and then he can actually hold his shield in his hand, and he does this very, very well. So this is how I would normally have my gym displayed, because it's just not a gym ground type if it's not laying some lead. It does have an opening cockpit, as I forgot to mention. Silly me. Just simply pull the top of the chest open. It's just on a hinge, nothing special. And the pilot figure, I know that's supposed to be a generic pilot. That looks an awful lot like Shiro to me. Thanks for falling out of his hand. It also features this claw arm that comes up. This would be to lower the pilot down to the ground, because it's not like they put parachutes in these things. On them, yes. In them, no. For size comparison, it is your standard Gundam size, but just so that we can do it, let's bring in Mr. Korbrock. Mr. Korbrock here is about the same size. So, at the time, they were going for a general size master grade. Not too big, not too small. I'm sure the Zaku's got oversized. But yeah, about the same size, good quality, about the same price too. I picked this up for, I want to say I picked this up for about $40, give or take. Yeah, sounds about right. For other additional accessories, he also includes alternate hand styles. So you have the fixed posed ones, and these. You have two jazz hands, and two happy knuckle sandwiches. And then if I was paying attention better, I would have realized I grabbed the hand from another kit. Whose hand are you? Okay, you're in that box, so that's yours. But to hold the sniper rifle, number one, take his hand off. Number 2, negotiate with this one. And this rifle is very heavy. So heavy, in fact, I'm going to have to take off his other hand now to put in the only hand that can support it, and don't swap these hands out too much. This joint really, really loves to get loose. So to get this up, and this does have a moving handle, but it is pretty tight. The pack down here is detachable. And yeah, that's the only pose you're going to get with this thing. You're only going to get the standard rifleman, I'm about to fire pose. That's pretty much it. But for an older master grade, especially one from a much beloved series, I'm giving this thing a massive recommendation. This is very simple, very easy, a very fun build, and if you like modifying your kits, it is, I believe, technically possible, because this chest is very hollow, to somehow manage to weave an electronic system in here to power a light that you could put in the eyes. Obviously, you'd have to modify this out, something like that, but very simple modifications if you know what you're doing. What's not said here, but it is listed in the manual, is if you have the backpack from the Easy 8 or the Ground Gundam, they are also compatible. You just have to remove this whole assembly, and now that I'm remembering what I did here, this whole thing's just going to pop off. Yep, it works. It's just held on by 2 tabs. There's the thing I was telling you about. But the backpacks are cross-compatible, so if you want to have your ground GM flying through the air or falling to his death, go for it. Sure, do that too. So he's been disarmed, dishanded. This review's gone on way too long. He wants to quit. It's about time. He's not getting paid enough. So if you have any questions, concerns, points you want to bring up, have a discussion, leave it down in the comments below. I will be happy to respond to them and get back to you when I can. Thank you very much for watching.